I think the markets are at their peak right now, and the game of chicken between Trump and Xi over the global economy is extremely risky, and it may have set off. You know, I've said that October is the spooky month, and we're in it. What could be the start of a crash? No amount of effort on our part will be enough to reverse this trend. We can only hope to reap some personal and family benefits from it. We will be a part of the rebuilding process if you possess genuine assets. Thanks for visiting the Gold Silver Show again. Hey Alan, what's up for today? Hey Mike. Exactly. I was going to mention how gold can help us weather geopolitical storms today. As we see empires crumble all over the globe, the one constant has been the price of gold, which has kept people safe for generations. All right then, let's examine that. Investing in gold instead of US Treasuries was a brilliant move by the Chinese. So, sure, I guess you could say this is all in good fun. It turns that the CIA uncovered a Chinese conspiracy to do nothing except sit on their hands and amass gold. Yeah, plus there's this theory that China actually possesses twice as much gold as they claim to have. We know that China lies all the time, and it shows in the chart with the rapid surges in gold stocks. The amount of gold that goes into China is quite suspicious. In the beginning, they claim they didn't accumulate any, but later on, they admit that they did. I understand. The United States officially holds around 8,000 tons, and estimates for China range from 6,000 to 20,000 tons. Is China's stockpile larger than America's? Maybe, maybe not. I guess we'll find out later. A large number of them. The World Gold Council compiles statistics on national gold reserves, but the amount of gold held by each individual person is far more relevant. It would be more accurate to say that you are the wealthiest person in the world if you were second only to the United States, but owned all the gold yourself, while 330 million Americans were forced to split it among themselves. It is not the exact amount of fluid ounces. When looking at the United States, the ounces per capita are more important. What number was it? 12 or something? I can't remember. What was it? I've forgotten. Indeed, the exact number eludes me, but rest assured it is not first. Yeah, I see. You can accomplish it on your own, which is important to keep in mind. Consider the number of ounces you have for each member of your family, correct? You should probably pay more attention to that figure than to your own country. Yeah, having one gives you a leg up on the average. That's crucial too. And I found that collecting silver instead, according to the gold-silver ratio, and then turning it into gold when the price goes to 20 or lower yields 4 or 5 times as much gold as I first invested. In a word, yes. Central banks should be ready for anything, according to the head of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, who spoke with Gold Telegraph. Keep in mind that gold is most radiant in times of chaos. So, he's alluding to a speech given by John Williams, the president and CEO, titled Prepare for the Unexpected. In it, Williams essentially states that the Federal Reserve and central banks in general have encountered unprecedented crises in the past 2 decades, including the Euro crisis, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, COVID-19, and countless others, making it impossible for them to predict what exactly will happen next. They should be ready to utilize every instrument in their arsenal, including the most drastic emergency procedures, because anything could happen. What does this imply for individual investors, and should they be ready for the unexpected? If you want to survive these crises, you should probably hold gold. Indeed, precious metals. Silver is more unpredictable, but it can collapse at the start of a crisis, like it did in 2008 with the COVID meltdown, which presents even another opportunity. Sure, just hold on to a bit of both. If the world is experiencing a major crisis and everything else is going wrong, you should be aware that gold and silver will eventually turn around and go north. Yes, I agree with it. According to Carl B. Manger, the United States of America took 100 years to accomplish what the Roman Empire accomplished in 250. Currency devaluation is what he's referring to, and it's not looking good, people. Here we are, at this green line, with the United States dollar plummeting in value at a rate greater than that of the silver denarius, Rome's currency. This situation is dynamic. The only way to debase the supply of circulation level Roman silver denarius, the money that was really in use, was to accept tax coins, melt them down, and mix the resulting copper and silver alloy. After a while, they simply took on the appearance of a copper slug with a silver wash, much like the modern coinage that we see around us. Greetings, this is Mike. This is a brief note. I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who has seen our films, but I did want to mention that only about 15% of people who have watched our videos have really subscribed and enabled notifications. Make sure you enable notifications so you won't miss any developments as we enter some stormy times. Also, I appreciate you constantly giving me the thumbs up. And finally, for almost 20 years, goldsilver.com has been a premier source for high-quality instructional materials. It would be our privilege to serve as your precious metals dealer if you are interested in supporting our goal. Returning to the video now. A national fiat currency is represented by that green line, and we have a printing press and a keyboard. You can dilute the entire thing by taking a small fraction, say 3%, of the coins that were in circulation at any one time and removing them from circulation to pay taxes. Then, maybe 1% of those coins can be melted down and used for spending. After adding half a teaspoon of copper to 1,000 coins, they get 2,000 coins to spend. So they're engaging in deficit spending, just like us, but with a cap on the amount of coins they can melt. While the coins that aren't in the government's hands are going through taxation before being spent, they can't debase them and diminish the total currency supply at the same time. However, with fiat money, it is possible to simply type $1 trillion or two into existence, just like Ben Bernanke did. Among the individuals I had the opportunity to speak with in 2023 is Joseph Wang, who held the position of head trader at the New York Fed. Therefore, he is the only known human being capable of spending more money than any other human being in recorded history. Thanks to those QEs, he was able to spend trillions of dollars. And when he typed those dollars into existence, they were completely fictional. Until his fingers pressed the keys of that keyboard, they did not exist. That is absolutely astounding. We can now debase more effectively than ever before, thanks to our cutting-edge technology. True, but imagine if the Roman government could instantly alter the silver composition of every coin in circulation. We are capable of devaluing that. Simply doubling the quantity will cause the dollar's value to plummet immediately, and twice the amount to depreciate it by half. You should be aware that pricing will change rapidly. The dollar will have lost half its worth if you double the supply and put it into circulation, because prices would rise to meet the demand. Very much so. Consequently, the most important thing to remember is what comes next. Since you're already so low, there's not much more ground to fall to. Prioritize your well-being, everyone. Ensure your well-being. Yeah, this is what leads to tyrants gaining power and empires crumbling. Very much so. Was there ever a period in history when the government went bankrupt and the wealthy got richer? That's the question posed by Jeff Park. You can learn something from that. The senators hoarded land and riches when the Roman Empire burnt, George said in response. The same script, different outfits? No doubt about it. Honestly, I don't have much to say about it, but we can just agree on everything. Since you will be powerless to alter the government's policies, your only choice is to safeguard yourself. No amount of effort on our part will be enough to reverse this trend. We can only hope to reap some personal and family benefits from it. Yep. Invest in tangible assets, and we can help with the recovery. Yes? Yeah. According to Arnaud Bertrand, who was researching historical periods when the value of gold as a reserve currency more than doubled, there have been similar instances in the past year. It's extremely unusual and typically indicates a severe disillusionment with the current monetary and political system, which may be traced back to the so-called crisis of the 3rd century in the Roman Empire. Additionally, it frequently signified the change from one dominion to another, the demise of Rome, the waning influence of Spain, the horror and revolution in France, and the conclusion of the Bretton Woods Accord. Surprisingly, it's often a cause of these crises as much as a symptom. This is essentially a redistribution of actual wealth from the impoverished to the wealthy elites who hoard gold for their own protection. Because of this, the political unrest begins. The present episode's peculiarity lies in the eerie quiet surrounding it. Little is being said about what might be the greatest turning point in financial history. Yeah, my goal from the beginning has been to avert a catastrophic financial collapse by rescuing middle-class investors one by one. Ben Bernanke, meantime, saw the previous big financial crisis through to its conclusion. He just covered it up, so the subsequent rally, which was all an illusion, and the entire stock market's performance since 2008 rest on foundations that are flimsy and subject to change. In my opinion, the markets are likely at their peak right now. The international economy is in jeopardy because of the hazardous game that Presidents Trump and Xi are playing. Also, I've mentioned before that October is a scary month, and that this may be the start of a crash, so that could have been the trigger. Regarding President Xi's rare earth shipments to every country on Earth, I believe it's quite probable that Trump's tariffs will have a devastating effect on economies worldwide. However, at the moment, it appears as though every day brings a new executive order that disrupts the global economy. And a functioning economy is impossible. To get a sense of the magnitude of these bubbles, I think people should revisit my film. Pricking these bubbles now could cause them to implode or deflate, which could lead to one of the worst crashes ever. We could really enter a modern dark age, as Elon Musk once warned, if this is accompanied by China genuinely ceasing their exports of rare earths. That may be, the spectrum of possibilities when it comes to probabilities. There's a bell curve and a spectrum. However, something truly terrible could be on our way. Still, I think a crash is happening somewhere. It will be a major one, in my opinion. Sure enough, we keep seeing the same situation play out. That Rome story you just covered then was spot on. Very well. Because of this, I was thinking about the last 2 episodes, 9 and 10, and how they dealt with financial issues. Would you like to provide our viewers some background on these? Sure. I'll admit that these are among my favorite episodes. We have 3.4 million views on 9, but only 1.4 million on 10. I truly wish it was different. 2 million people should thus return to the beginning and watch it again, since 10 concludes everything. Both of those are essential viewing. You won't want to miss either one. Recognizing the similarities is crucial. We plot the current American empire's history alongside that of the Roman Empire's decline and collapse. It's spot on, and I highly recommend that everyone revisit them. And don't forget to share the links with your loved ones and friends. The great gold and silver rush of the 21st century, my most recent book, is also an excellent present idea. If you care about someone who hasn't considered gold or silver yet because they believe, oh, this is the high, then it's too late for them to get involved. No, there is still time. In addition, we will be releasing films in the near future in which we define and demonstrate what a discount silver still is. So these are some simple techniques to convince someone who is still on the fence about this safe haven and the highest performing asset class of this century. Remember that video on our homepage? It lists the top 10 reasons why I invest in precious metals. Here we have animator Lincoln Jude, who put in a tremendous amount of time and effort into this. This is even more relevant now than when it was released 8 years ago. Constantly increasing in size are all the contents, including the size of the bubbles and so on. Viewers will notice that nearly every point made in the film is still relevant now, if not more so than it was when it was first aired. Therefore, I beg you to revisit these 3 films. View this one initially. I think this is the one to present to all your loved ones and friends. It helps them adjust gradually, so it's perfect for them. In any case, I implore you to view those. They are very charming, I believe. Indeed, I share your opinion. You, Mike, and Lincoln both performed admirably. Wow, that's incredible. These arguments still hold water now, as they did 8 years ago. Actually, I guess the only thing we can do is hope that others will keep studying and spread the word. Everything else is beyond our control. Plus, if somebody had seen this 8 years ago and invested in precious metals based on it, their wealth would have multiplied by 2 or more. I guess so. Therefore, the information was useful both then and now. Alan, I am grateful. The presentation was excellent. Yes. Much obliged, Mike. The audience, I am grateful to you all for tuning in.